Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back to the program, Nanci Griffith.
In 1993, the LA Times called Nanci Griffith the Queen of Contemporary Folk Music. 5 years earlier, the Washington Post had called her Nashville Queen of Broken Hearts.
Well, all right, let the people know.
In the 1980s and 90s, Nanci Griffith released a string of gem-like albums, toured the country with her band the Blue Moon Orchestra, and guested with artists as varied as Paddy Maloney's Chieftains and Buddy Holly's Crickets. A favorite with folk audiences who also found success on the country charts, she was one of America's most beloved singer-songwriters.
Well, I am leaving Mississippi and evening.
It was all a long way from her small-town Texas childhood. Nanci told the Glasgow Herald that she started music on the French horn. Her parents gave her a few weeks on the instrument. Then one day she came home and found a guitar in its place. Young Nanci learned to strum that guitar at 6, began writing songs shortly after that, and played her first club sets at the age of 12. In high school, she listened endlessly to Odetta records and was swept up in the breakthrough success of Loretta Lynn. By the 1970s, she was a fixture on the songwriting scene in Austin, holding her own with Lyle Lovett, Steve Earle, Guy Clark, and Townes Van Zandt. Nanci released her first album in 1978, featuring mostly her own compositions. She sang them in a strikingly original voice, a mixture of tender vulnerability and self-assured Texas drawl. The title track, There's a Light Beyond These Woods, Mary Margaret, became one of her classics.
Let's go to New York City, Margaret. We'll hide out in the subways and drink the poet's wine. Oh, but I had John. So you went and I stayed behind.
As other albums followed, the world's got more great songs: Love at the Five and Dime, It's a Hard Life Wherever You Go, and Outbound Plane were all written or co-written by Nanci before getting covered by Kathy Mattea, Emmylou Harris, and Suzy Bogguss.
'Cause if love won't fly on its own free will, it's gonna catch that outbound plane.
Nanci's songs were like snapshots of ordinary lives. Sometimes she based them on her folk music idols. Radio Fragile is about Phil Ochs, and Ford Econoline was inspired by Kate Wolf and Rosalie Sorrell.
She's so down the air, straight from the bosom of the morning cheer to the voice like a wine, cruising along in them 40 Crown line.
Other songs like Trouble in the Fields were just about people getting by in a difficult world.
Baby, I know that we got trouble in the fields when the bankers swarm like locusts out there turning away our yield.
Above all, Nanci was a master storyteller. She knew how to make her songs sound personal and confessional, but she approached them as little works of fiction. It's a great way for me to be able to live a fantasy life as a writer, she once said. I get to be someone else, someplace else, for 3.5 minutes, just like the listener. Nanci was herself a shrewd and careful listener. She knew how to pick other people's songs and how to make them shine. In the 1980s, she had 2 top 40 country hits, both with songs she didn't write. Then, on the advice of Christine Lavin, songwriter Julie Gold sent Nanci a peace anthem called From a Distance. Gold even asked for tips on how to improve it, since so many singers had turned it down. Nanci told her it was perfect and recorded a stunning version on her 1988 album, Lone Star State of Mind.
From a distance, there is harmony.
after Bette Midler covered it 2 years later. Gold won a Grammy for Song of the Year and said in her acceptance speech that she shared the award with Christine Lavin and Nanci Griffith.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank y'all for being here.
Nanci won her own Grammy for her 1993 album Other Voices, Other Rooms, a lovingly curated set of cover songs by folk forebears like Woody Guthrie, Malvina Reynolds, John Prine, and Kate Wolf. The album featured guest performances by the likes of Arlo Guthrie, Odetta, Bob Dylan, Alison Krauss, John Hartford, the Indigo Girls, Iris DeMint, Emmylou Harris, and Guy Clark. Offbeat magazine dubbed it a fantasy folk festival, and the Washington Post called it luminous. For Nanci, it was a family reunion.
And I've been sifting through the layers of dusty books and faded pages. It tells stories I used to know, and it was one that had so long ago.
The planning and recording of Other Voices, Other Rooms were major events in the folk world. Nanci was a top-shelf country artist with 3 albums that had made the Hot 100. When they heard she was doing an album of folk covers, everyone from Pete Seeger to Janis Ian called her up to recommend songs, mostly other people's songs, not their own. The album closed with Wimoweh, Solomon Linda's South African chant popularized by Pete Seeger and the Weavers in 1952. Nanci told the Washington Post that after assembling the chorus in the studio, she felt overwhelmed at looking at 5 generations of singer-songwriters who never actually met one another, standing in the same room, singing to each other. After Other Voices, Nanci Griffith continued performing and recording for over 20 years, sometimes slowed down by cancer and other health challenges. Her sound, which hovered between country, folk, and pop, often landed on a style she called folkabilly, now we'd say Americana, and in recognition of her pioneering work, the Americana Music Association awarded Nanci its Lifetime Americana Trailblazer Award in 2008.
As we bumped the songs of language and you heard me on the radio, I'd seen the flyers San Antonio, la 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 la.
Woven through and alongside her music, Nanci Griffith was a fierce advocate and activist. She performed at fundraisers for civil rights and human rights and worked on progressive campaigns, a passion she traced to her bohemian mother. Glimpses of this activism came out in songs throughout her career, but her last 2 albums, 2009's The Loving Kind and 2012's Intersection, put politics out front, carrying forward the traditions of her early idols like Seeger and Odetta.
I'm at this intersection here between my hopes and dreams and fears, traveling Love Boulevard on a green line.
Nanci Griffith retired from the music business in 2013. 20 years earlier, in 1993, she told Rolling Stone her main goal was artistic longevity. "I still want to hear my music coming back to me when I'm 65, she said. She got that and a few more years to boot. What's more, many of us will be listening to Nanci Griffith for the rest of our lives. So if she's watching us, she'll be hearing her music come back to her for years to come. From a distance, of course."
Been wandering around this land, just doing the best I can, trying to find what I was meant to do, and the people that